Hey there, everybody. Aryeh Leifert here. This is the Aryeh Leifert Show, coming to you today from Southern California and from the study of my colleague and friend, Dennis Prager. So thank you very much to Dennis for the use of this auspicious location. Some of you may recognize it as the location of the Fireside Chat, and I am chatting with you, and this is a fireside. This is the place of the Fireside Chat. This is not a green screen behind me. So today is November 13th, right? 11, 12, 13. Yeah, today is November 13th, 2023. I'm returning to Israel today after a pretty whirlwind weekend here in Southern California. And I wanted to bring up a topic that I've wanted to talk about for a couple of weeks now. On October 12th, 2023, there was an article on CNN. This was just a few days after the start of the ongoing conflict between Israel and Hamas. And the headline of this opinion piece by Yahya Abu Razallah is, in Gaza, Palestinians have no safe place from Israel's bombs. In Gaza, Palestinians have no safe place from Israel's bombs. And the purpose of the piece was to elicit sympathy for the Palestinian cause, at least for the Palestinian civilians. I don't want to say for the Palestinian cause. That's not fair. For the Palestinian civilians who were getting bombed by, at this point, there were no ground forces in, there were no Israeli ground forces in Gaza at this point, so they were getting bombed by the Israeli Air Force. And the thrust of the article was, you need to have a lot of sympathy for the Palestinians because they have no place to hide. So let me take you to that section where he mentions this. Okay. In Gaza, when Hamas fires rockets at Israel, advanced warning detectors set off alarms in targeted neighborhoods. Civilians flee to an extensive network of bomb shelters, and the vaunted Iron Dome system works to intercept projectiles in the air. I live in Israel. I live in the center of the country. My home has a bomb shelter. It's also hopefully meant to protect against a rocket attack, but it's specifically designed as a bomb shelter. All right, without getting into more details, we also have the Code Red system. We have an app, and depending on where you live in the country, you have anywhere between 15 seconds to maybe, I think it goes up to 2 minutes, all of 2 minutes. Wow, to get to shelter, whether it's a bomb shelter or whether it's to some other safe place. And you see signs all over saying protected area, safe space. Go this way to a safe space. So we in Israel have a pretty good early warning system. And the point of this article is to say that in the Gaza Strip, they don't. So next paragraph. But in Gaza, none of those high-tech defenses were available to protect Maysara Baroud, 47, when his apartment building was hit by Israeli airstrikes Monday night. The only thing that saved him and his family, a neighbor yelling from the street. So his building was destroyed. We go further down the article. This is the reality for Palestinians living in Gaza without the protection of a robust civil defense infrastructure. With no air raid sirens or bomb shelters, the more than 2 million Palestinians living in the besieged territory, half of whom are children, rely on rare phone calls or text messages from, wait for it, the Israeli military to alert them of imminent strikes. They rely on rare phone calls or text messages from the Israeli military. In fact, a couple of days ago, I read an article from the BBC, and the BBC, that known pro-Israel outlet, I'm being sarcastic, the BBC verified this story And they said that there was around a 40-year-old man from Gaza who received a phone call from someone in Israeli intelligence telling him that in a few hours the Israeli Air Force was coming and was going to bomb certain buildings, apartment buildings in Gaza, because the IDF officer speaking to this Palestinian in Gaza said, we know that there are Hamas fighters or weapons storage underneath the buildings, and we're coming to bomb. You get the people out. You can save hundreds of people. You, random Palestinian man in Gaza, you get the people out of the building. We will wait to attack until you tell us that all the people are out. You can save hundreds of lives. And the BBC confirmed this story. Confirmed the story that the man saved hundreds of lives because he warned his neighbors. They rely on rare phone calls or text messages from the Israeli military. The lack of protection serves as a stark contrast to the civil defense systems of Israel, which has faced intense barrages of rocket fire from Hamas in recent days. Again, this article is from October 12th. Israel boasts elaborate and technologically advanced capabilities ranging from early radar detection to the Iron Dome, meant to protect its civilians in the event of an attack. In Gaza, the call or text alerts are far from guaranteed and, at most, give residents a few minutes to evacuate. Well, actually, that's a few times longer than many Israelis have to get to shelter. The areas right around the Gaza Strip, it's called the Gaza envelope, Otef Aza in Hebrew, the Gaza pocket. Sometimes they'll have 15 seconds. So some of the Palestinians have quite a bit times longer to evacuate. Often, it's just a guessing game. So I bring this to your attention because the purpose of this article is to elicit sympathy for the civilians in Gaza, that they don't have a lot of time. They don't have early warning systems. And I was reading this, and I was thinking, wait a second. You mean to tell me that in the 15 plus years that Hamas has run the Gaza Strip, they didn't install an early warning system, an air raid siren system? They didn't build bomb shelters? How is that possible? How is that possible? They've been getting billions, as Dr. Eva would say, billions of dollars from the EU, from the UN, from the United States. And, well, I don't know about from the United States. Let me back up, because the United States has classified Hamas as a terror group. Hamas in the Gaza Strip has been getting billions of dollars. I don't want to get into the source. They've been getting billions of dollars. What have they been doing with it? What have they been doing with all of the humanitarian aid, with all of the building supplies that Israel has allowed to go into the Gaza Strip over 15 years? Well, they clearly haven't built defenses for their citizens, knowing that they are going to attack Israel, that they, Hamas, are going to attack Israel, knowing that it's going to elicit a military response. And they didn't build bomb shelters, and they didn't build an early warning system. What have they done with their digging ability? Well, we know what they've done with their digging ability. They've dug hundreds and hundreds of kilometers worth of tunnels underneath Gaza, sometimes into Israel, from Gaza into Israel, across into another country. They've built their command centers underground, under hospitals, under residential areas, under civilian areas. That's what they've done with their technological know-how. And a few days ago, there was an article that I read. I'll include the link in the description below. There was an article where some of the Hamas leaders who are in Qatar, in the Gulf, they said openly, the tunnels are not there for civilians. The tunnels are there to protect the Hamas fighters because otherwise they have no place to go. He openly said this. It's almost like The Onion wrote it. The tunnels are not there for the civilians. No, we can't take care of the civilians. He said, who's responsible for taking care of the civilians? Israel is responsible. The United Nations is responsible for taking care of the civilians. It's just astounding. So, just to finish up, this article was meant to elicit sympathy for the Palestinian civilian cause, the fact that they have no place to run. And let me just say, I feel badly for them. I'm an Israeli. I feel badly for them. It brings me no joy when Palestinian civilians are killed. It brings me no joy when I read about Palestinian children being killed in these airstrikes. No joy whatsoever, not in the deepest recesses of my soul. I wish there were another way for Israel to pursue this war and to protect the citizens of Israel without having to kill Palestinian civilians. But Hamas started this. Hamas started this on October 7th. People are talking about a ceasefire. There was a ceasefire up until around 6:30 a.m. on October 7th. And as we read here in the CNN article, Hamas is not interested in protecting its civilians. If anything, they're interested in more dead Palestinian civilians. Because the more dead Palestinian civilians there are, the more pressure is built on Israel to stop its campaign to stop Hamas. But that is the purpose of the Israeli military campaign, to stop Hamas. It is not to kill Palestinian civilians. And I hope the conflict can end soon so that we don't have to read articles like this, Palestinians who don't have an early warning system. Hopefully we can get to a point very soon where neither side needs an early warning system and we really can live in peace. This has been the Aryeh Leifert Show, coming to you from the study of Dennis Prager. Thank you again to Dennis for the use of his study. My name is Aryeh Leifert. I'll see you next time.